Austin, Tennessee begins spring practice here, day after tomorrow. And I think the biggest question on everybody's mind outside of offensive line, wide receiver, DB, all that and more is about Rickey Gibson. Is number one going to be out there on the field when we head out to practice on Friday?
Yes, I do believe he will be on the practice field. I'll be shocked if he's not. He's been going through all the winter workout conditioning stuff since Pete Nakos put out there that he may enter the portal, in the spring window. So we'll see again whether he gets to that point. I think Tennessee will have him for spring, and once spring practice gets started, and you're out there with your teammates, you're putting in work. Bonds start forming, and a lot of that stuff can kind of get kind of calm down a little bit.
What would you say to fans? I mean, I think everybody to this point knows that, this is kind of part of it. This is a business, but it doesn't make it any easier, right? I think some fans are struggling with, seeing one of your starters do a public play to force the hand of your football team. But it's not just happening here. That's happening, maybe not publicly, but that's what's happening everywhere. It's just kind of where we are in this whole thing, right?
It's not ideal. It's not how I would have played it. I would have just went through spring and went to Tennessee, and said, look, I want to get this right. If not, I'm going to take a look in the portal, and, likely it gets worked out and no one ever knows, right? Instead, this plays out in a public way, and it puts Tennessee in a weird spot. And so, for fans, I get it. Fans have seen so much change in the game. Now, the on-the-field product's not suffered. It's still going great, but it's the interest from January through August that maybe is kind of waning a little bit. The interest in recruiting. When it's not official visit season or commitment season. How much interest is there right now compared to previous years when it was people followed at 365 days a year? Because everything comes back to the money, comes back to the transfer portal, and how both of those entities together have created such chaos at the college level.
On the VolQuest podcast earlier this week, you, Brent, and I gave three different answers. First thing I'm going to be looking for, offensive line. I think you said wide receivers. I think Brent said cornerbacks. Let's stay on cornerbacks real quick. McCoy, sideline for now. Gibson is going to be practicing, we believe, but kind of up in the air, right? You got McMurray, which what you have there. But then it's nothing, right? You've got some freshmen that's got to step up. Where are second-year players like Caleb Beasley, Marcus Gorey? What is Tennessee looking for at the cornerback position over the next month or so?
Well, I expect Beasley to work a lot at safety. So I think you're looking at true freshmen, whether it's Ty Redmond, Trey Poteet, Tim Merritt, Dylan Lewis. Like there's going to be, a handful of true freshmen who are going to just get thrown in the deep end this spring, Eric. And, Tennessee hopes that they can swim. And, Jalen McMurray will obviously get a ton of run. And Rickey Gibson's going to be out there. So that helps, right? Like it'd be different if Gibson wasn't going through spring. But, you also need those freshmen to get a lot of reps because you have to come out of spring going, okay, here's where McCoy is in the recovery process. Here's where the freshmen are through spring. Do we need to go get somebody? Because it's possible you have to. Yeah. And so I think a lot of that will depend on what the freshmen look like over these 15 practices starting on Friday.
I asked you this on Tuesday. I'm going to ask you again. Why would they want to work Beasley at safety where they just don't have a lot of depth at corner right now?
I think they feel like he may fit better there.
Okay.
I think he'll probably play a little bit of both, but I think that safety is probably, kind of where, I think he may end up. And I actually like him there. I really do. I think he's got great ball skills. If he can handle the physicality part of safety, I think Caleb Beasley can be a really good safety at this level.
Flip it back over to the offensive side of the football. A lot of people are going to be looking at wide receivers, Mike Matthews, Chris Brazzell, Braylon Staley, all that and more. Travis Smith, Radarius Jackson. I want to – Joakim Dotson's not here because he's not as early enrollee. I want to ask you about Amari Jefferson. Where is he in his recovery process? Going to be limited, we believe, at the beginning, but kind of how much progress is he making? And when can Tennessee fans start hearing some good reports about Amari Jefferson?
I think the him running around and doing a lot of training is going really, really well. I think Tennessee's really pleased with where he's at. I think he's got some explosiveness that maybe, they weren't sure he was going to have. I think he's done a nice job of rehabbing and rebounding from that hip surgery that he had back at the 1st of November when he was at Alabama. And so, you're right. He'll be limited early on. The question is how quickly can he become a participant when it comes to contact? And I think there's hope that he can do that post spring break. So Tennessee will practice once on Friday, which is basically like a short walkthrough. Then they'll practice 3 times next week. And then the university has spring break. So all the kids will go do their own spring break thing. It's coming back out of that at the end of March. When he comes out of the spring break, which will be, practice number 5 for Tennessee, 5 of 15, is he able to go contact at that point? There's hope that he will be able to.
On the offensive line, you are replacing 4 starters. We know about the Tennessee got 2 transfers. Wendell Moy, he's going to play somewhere. Sam Pendleton's going to play somewhere. Where do you believe that Pendleton, who didn't play, but practiced some at center with Notre Dame, where do you think Tennessee's going to have him to begin with, center or guard?
That's a great question, and I do not know the answer to it. Obviously, there's some flexibility there. I think Wendell Moy will absolutely be a guard. Pendleton, I think it depends on, where Tennessee feels like they're at center. I think he'll work some at center, but I would probably lean guard to start. And then, if Tennessee feels like, hey, we're a little bit behind at center, we need to go with a more experienced guy, then, they slide Pendleton in the center if they feel like he can do it.
David Sanders, everybody wants to know more about him. And of course, he got his toes wet a little bit with bowl practices. I mean, from a physical, athletic traits, all that and more fundamental, like he's going to be a stud. My question about David Sanders is my question about all these true freshmen that are going to be forced into playing early, and we believe David Sanders will be. Where is he strength-wise, and where is he weight-wise? How much can David Sanders kind of overcome that early in his career? Because, again, whether he's out there snap one, game one, it don't matter. He's going to be out there early and play a lot as a true freshman.
Absolutely. And from strength-wise, I think David will be fine. Weight-wise, he's going to be fine. He's taking advantage of, January and February of putting on the right kind of weight, putting on muscle, and then he's uber athletic. So he's going to have every opportunity to be Tennessee's starting right tackle opposite Lance Hurd.
Last question I got for you. Not only is spring practice starting this weekend, but with that, the door's open for some recruits. 5-star wide receiver Tristen Key's going to be in the house. Your 5-star quarterback Faison Brandon's going to be here with them. Who were some other of those headliners that Tennessee should expect this first weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one would be in-state, players, Zach Groves and Craig Tutt. I think, getting them back over here this weekend is big. But you're right, Keys, because he's coming with Faison Brandon, this is a big visit for Tennessee. They've had a lot of the momentum. He has slowed things down, though. Can they keep the momentum with a big weekend this weekend?